This is it. This is exactly what I want. This is exactly what I was expecting. This show, this episode 2 of Lanterns is better than the first episode. Going into this show, I feel like I was the only one that was hyping up this show, saying this show is about to be the best thing in the DCU. Everybody was saying the show is going to be garbage. Yet look at us now. Look at this show now. There are so many things I want to talk about in this episode, especially one particular scene. There's spoilers in this video, by the way. If you haven't, I'm hoping you guys watched the show already. If you haven't watched the episode, what are you doing? Go watch Lanterns. But if you have, you've seen it already, so forget. I'm going to talk spoilers. There's a scene where John Stewart gets kidnapped, and I've got so many thoughts about that. They dropped so much information in this episode while still retaining the mystery. That's what I love, man. The way they've concealed this mystery, the way they've unraveled this mystery, the unraveling this mystery, the pacing of the unraveling, it's done very well. Well, let's start at the beginning. Again, I'm not doing a whole entire recap, but there are certain things I want to touch on. So the flight. We saw this in the trailer, right? Hal Jordan tells John Stewart to fly, right? To try and fly. He puts on John Stewart puts on the ring. He tries to fly. He tries to concentrate, thinks about flight, and he creates a bird. This bird, we later understand the significance of this bird. When I was watching the trailer, I'm thinking, oh, that's cute. That's cool. That's kind of fun. Like he was thinking about flying and he can't fly because he doesn't know how to fly, but he created a bird. That's funny because flight, bird, okay, ha ha ha. That's cool. I thought it was just going to be like a silly joke. We're going to see this bird multiple times throughout this show. I think this bird has a significant role in John Stewart's life. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But what we find out about this bird is that it is an impossibility. Practically impossible. John Stewart created autonomous, I don't want to say life because it's not living, but it can move and do its own thing by itself. It's not like he's created a baseball bat. You know what I mean? He created a bird with autonomy. Kind of. Some sort of intelligence. Okay? He took off the ring and maintained the construct. So not only the construct itself is impossible, he took the ring off and maintained the construct. Not for a few seconds, not for a few minutes. The dude was literally knocked out maintaining the construct. That level of that level of will and concentration. John Stewart, I am excited to see the future of John Stewart in the DCU. They are laying a foundation for John Stewart like his potential is through the roof. And you know that's got to rub Hal Jordan the wrong way. You know that's no wonder Hal Jordan didn't want to even accept it or address it, right? Okay, so let's talk about let's talk about it. Okay, so John Stewart at the end of the episode comes back to Hal Jordan after finding out the impossibility of the task that he had just done by creating this bird and maintaining the construct. Right, it was an impossibility. And he confronts Hal Jordan. He's like, "Yo, were you not going to tell me what I did? How incredible it was? We're not just going to give me a hoorah, a little pat on the back, say good job because you're my mentor." And Hal Jordan's like, "Hoorah! Like, what do you want? Like, what do you want me to say, man? Like, okay, fine, good job, buddy boy." You know Hal Jordan doesn't like it. He looks at John Stewart as a threat. He's training his own replacement. He doesn't want to give Green Lantern is his life. Think about the insecurity Hal Jordan has. He's training his replacement. He's getting old. His torch is burning out. He's training the guy that's going to replace him. And now the guy has infinite levels more innate ability and talent than he does. And on top of that, Hal Jordan was never meant to get the ring. It was an accident. So he's suffering from imposter syndrome. And then you have John Stewart, which I think they're setting up. John Stewart was chosen from birth. The Guardians chose him to be the Green Lantern, which is why in the trailer John Stewart says, he's just been keeping it warm for me this whole time. That's it. He was never meant to have the ring. Abin Sur crash landed, and that's the only reason why this dude has a ring. He was never meant to be a Green Lantern. That was a mistake. So Hal Jordan has all of this battling on in his head. Then at the end of the episode, he goes and meets Sinestro. And Sinestro, you saw in the trailer also, Sinestro is planting those seeds of doubt, that fear into him. saying, your greatest threat is not the Manhunters. We're going to talk about that. And it's not the Manhunters. It's John Stewart, your replacement. And he literally, in the trailer, he's like, tell me who John Stewart is. He's telling Hal Jordan to say it. He's my replacement. Like, he's not a trainee. I'm not just training him. He's just not some guy that I'm training. I'm training my replacement. I'm training my end. Sinestro is instilling that fear into Hal Jordan. Where's that gonna lead? Where's a fearful Hal Jordan? Where's that gonna take us? We're gonna find out. But now, man, we're gonna talk about what happened. Where was Hal Jordan? Why did Hal Jordan want John Stewart to fly? He wanted him to fly to get the lantern, right? To recharge the ring. The ring had no charge. And while John Stewart was fetching the lantern, by the way, that whole sequence was cool, reaching into the pocket dimension, Superman tie-in, right? We're talking about these pocket dimensions. I thought that was cool. Music is cool in the show, by the way. The themes are really cool for the lanterns, and I like the music. Anyways, while John Stewart is on his little adventure to fetch the lantern, he sees the suit, he picks up the suit, picks up the lantern, and then he gets kidnapped. By the way, they changed the color of the suit. You saw that? I saw in an interview. They were literally going back and forth on the color to the day they were literally doing interviews about the show. They were going. I mean, you see this in Hollywood. They literally sometimes, an occasion, probably more than an occasion, they edit movies like literally days or hours even before the movie is unveiled at the premiere, right? And seems to be that's what happened here. You saw the trailer. The suit was one color. And now the suit is a different color. And I'm sure the backlash had a whole lot to do with it, right? They made the suit more green in the show than it was in the trailer. So anyways, John Stewart gets kidnapped. And this is where things go crazy. Because I have some ideas, man. I have some ideas. I might be way off. I may be way off at the identity of who these kidnappers are. But I think there is some validity to it. All right, so we're gonna talk about this. So he gets kidnapped, and you find out that these kidnappers are in league with the alien that blew himself up in the first episode. Okay, so these are the visitors at the football game, or at least in league with the visitors at the football game. These are aliens, which means these are shapeshifters. These shapeshifted into human form. They've taken human form, and they are here for vengeance. That's what we learned in the first episode. That's why these aliens are here. They're here for vengeance. And guess what? We find out why they're seeking revenge in this episode. And I think we have a massive clue at who they are also. Okay? So they are here to hunt a manhunter. Now, as we saw in the trailer, they talked about manhunters, and you see this shapeshifter being that you think is probably the manhunter, right? Because they talk about how manhunters are shapeshifters in the trailer. In this episode, you find out manhunters can't just shapeshift, which makes sense. I'm happy with that because there's not much precedent in the comics and stuff from what I know that manhunters can shapeshift. I think there's a series that manhunters, they think there's like one series where manhunters do shapeshift, but for the most part in DC, manhunters are not known for shapeshifting. But the way they shapeshift in this show is not necessarily shapeshifting. They're not really shapeshifting. They're adopting shapes. So they're synthetics, they're robots that can build a body of something and then take on that body, which makes complete sense for a synthetic, right? You're synthetic, you create a human figure, upload your consciousness to that human figure, boom, now you look like a human. Okay? Makes complete sense. I'm completely fine with that. Which means the shape-shifting creature in the trailer that you saw, the red shirt with the white X, is not a manhunter. I'm leaning toward that being a guardian, actually. But then the thing was really big. Guardians are a little tiny. And I don't know if Guardians can shapeshift. I don't know. But I don't know why I feel like I'm leaning towards that being a Guardian, because Guardians do wear red with that white kind of semi-X shape thing on their torso, right? So I'm thinking that might be a Guardian. Who knows? It might be a Martian. If you guys have seen my theory video, it might be a Martian. And it kind of holds even more water with this episode because, guys, that bald dude that was interrogating, questioning, kidnapped, and talking to John Stewart sitting on that chair, that bald guy, that alien, we know is an alien. I mean, I'm hoping beyond all hopes. This is my fan brain talking here, partially. but there's some validity to this. That might be Martian Manhunter. I know that sounds crazy. That might be John Jones right there. That might be the greatest superhero of all time, standing right there talking to John Stewart. John Jones, John Stewart having a convo right there in Lanterns, episode 2. That might be it, okay? I might be call me crazy, but hear me out first, okay? Hear me out, all right? We learn a whole bunch about the Manhunters in this episode. The Manhunters, they're setting up the Manhunters to be an extremely grave threat, which I don't really recall them being that crazy of a threat. Yeah, they're kind of hardcore. They're the first things that the Guardians created. They're the proto space cops of the galaxy, right, before the Green Lanterns. But I don't remember them being that grave of a threat. But the way they describe the Manhunters here, they shapeshift. They can infiltrate cultures, infiltrate societies, and tear them down from within. And that's apparently what happened to this race, to these aliens. A Manhunter came, infiltrated, took a form of something that they loved, that they held dear, that they trusted, and performed a mass genocide, performed a Holocaust, and brought about suffering, unimaginable suffering, to the point where these people are now have left their home and are traveling the cosmos to seek revenge. They took John Stewart and they said, dude, you need to understand what's going on. We're not the bad guys here. We are not the bad guys here. We're the victims here. We came to Earth to hunt down a Manhunter. We think this Manhunter is here on Earth. We actually think the Guardians are keeping this Manhunter here. They brought this Manhunter. They're hiding this Manhunter here on Earth, and we think Hal Jordan is in league with this. That's why you can't go and tell him anything. We need your help. And we know you have talent because you created that bird. That dude, Hal Jordan, can't even do that, man. You did the impossible. We need your help. And we don't trust Hal Jordan. Why? Because we came here to investigate this Manhunter. All our people got shot, and the next day, this dude, Hal Jordan, comes in. Did the Guardian send Hal Jordan here? Is he coming here to back up this Manhunter? Is he in league? Is he an affiliate with this Manhunter? What's going on here? I don't trust that dude Manhunter. I don't trust that dude Hal Jordan. That's where these aliens are coming from, okay? So now let's talk. Let's talk, okay? Because this is kind of crazy, all right? So this Manhunter infiltrated this alien planet. Performed and was a catalyst for a Holocaust level event. And they showed this to John Stewart. They took that little stamp, that's what they call it, the stamp, that gun, put it on John Stewart's head and imprinted these memories of their trauma, of whatever happened to this race, whatever happened to this species, this Holocaust, this genocide. They showed it to him. What happened to them. And John Stewart was crying, seeing these memories. He was literally shaking, convulsing as these memories were being implanted into his brain, and he was crying as he was seeing these things. Okay? These people were hurt, and that's why they're coming to take revenge. What does that sound like to you? What does that sound like to you? What Holocaust level, genocide level event in the galaxy? What does that remind you of? Huh? Doesn't that remind you of the extinction of the Martians? The genocide of the Martians? Doesn't that remind you of that? That reminds me of that, okay? Now, that's not it, dude. That is not it. What did you remember? What else do you remember from the trailer, okay? What planet did Hal Jordan and John Stewart go to in the trailer? I mean, they didn't say the name, but that planet sure was red and rusty and it had 2 moons. And what other planet is red and rusty and has 2 moons? Other than Mars. What if Hal Jordan and John Stewart are going to investigate whatever happened, whatever new memories that John Stewart got imprinted into his head? What if they're going to investigate whatever happened over there? They're going to Mars. And if they're going to Mars, it's clearly the Martians, and it's clearly the genocide of the Martians that we're talking about here. That's clearly what the Manhunter just did. That this Manhunter is responsible for. Now, let me tell you. You think that's crazy? That's not even the everything of it. That's not even all of it, man. That's not even all of it. Okay? Because Abin Sur, The alien that crash landed on Earth, the dude that gave Hal Jordan his ring, okay? We know from these guys, okay? We know from these dudes, these aliens, apparently, I mean, maybe we know from Martian Manhunter himself. These guys, they said that a lantern came and took this Manhunter, right? Arrested this Manhunter and was taking him to be executed, okay? That's probably Abin Sur. Abin Sur's ship crashed. Where did it crash? Crashed on Earth. Hal Jordan comes to the conclusion that it was Abin Sur and the Manhunter. Manhunter probably crashed his ship. Manhunter got escaped, killed Abin Sur, and that's the accident that led to Hal Jordan getting the ring. If Abin Sur went and picked up this Manhunter and then the ship crashed due to the Manhunter on Earth, that means he probably picked up the Manhunter pretty close to Earth. What planet is close to Earth? Mars? Mars is close to Earth. So you have Abin Sur picking up this Manhunter that was responsible for the extinction of the Martians. Picked him up from Mars, crash landed on Earth. Manhunter kills Abin Sur. Hal Jordan gets the ring. Manhunter flees. And you have the leftover Martians, the last sons of Mars, leave Mars to seek revenge. They come to Earth to try and find the Manhunter. Now think about this, dude. Think about this, man. You have Batman. Think about Batman, all right? Batman takes on his symbol of fear. He's scared of bats. At least in the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. I don't even know about it in the comics. He takes on his symbol of fear. And he takes it upon himself. And he spreads that fear to his enemies. But he takes on his fear. And he puts it in his own name. He puts it on his own chest. Now imagine John Jones taking the pain that is responsible for the death of every single person that he's ever known, his wife, his children, everyone that he's ever known, his entire culture. He takes that pain, the one that was responsible for that pain, and he puts it right in his name. And he becomes known as the Martian Manhunter. Come on now. Come on now. Let me tell you guys, if they do this, come on now, man. Yo, this could be crazy. All right, so maybe that's how we're getting Martian Manhunter in the DCU. That would be freaking awesome. Okay? That would be so freaking cool. Now, there are some caveats to this theory that I do want to talk about. I mean, it's not gospel truth here, what I'm talking. I'm just throwing my idea out there that could potentially be really, really awesome, but it might not come to fruition. And there's some things I want to talk about in that regard. If these are Martians, these shape-shifting beings that can fly, that have Martian vision, that can turn invisible, that can intangible, change the density of their body and do all this crazy stuff, why do they need to suicide bomb at a police station? Why do they need to have like a bomb that's hardwired to their like nervous system or something like that? Why? That doesn't make any sense, right? That doesn't make any sense. But does it? Or does it? Because there are renditions where the Martians are not a superpowered race. That they're not these super crazy powerful beings. Martian Manhunter is, though. And that could also explain why the Manhunter was able to wipe out all the Martians. If they could all fly, have telepathy and like telekinesis and Martian vision and shapeshift and were super strong and super fast and all this stuff. I mean, how can a single Martian wipe out an entire civilization? You know? Maybe there is a version of the Martian Manhunter origin story where the Martians are not superpowered beings. I think they could probably shapeshift or have some sort of telepathy. They had probably some sort of ability. I don't recall the exact details of the story, but the Martians don't have all of these crazy abilities. But Martian Manhunter was a genetic experiment. they turned him into a weapon. They gave him all these abilities, and there is only one Martian that has all of these abilities, and that's Martian Manhunter, because he was an experimental weapon, okay? He was created. That could be what they're going for here. And that would explain because that would make sense, because now you have multiple survivors. It's not just one last final survivor of Mars, right? You have multiple survivors here coming to Earth. That would explain why they got shot, or they were able to get shot and killed, okay? And that would also explain, if you have multiple Martians, you can't have multiple Martian Manhunter level beings run around on Earth. That's kind of crazy. You should only have one of those, right? So that would explain why you can have multiple of them, but only one Martian Manhunter. That would make sense, dude. So yeah, man, let me know what you think about my Martian Manhunter theory, but that's not all. I mean, that's crazy, okay? You got to admit, that's kind of crazy. You see, there's a whole bunch of dots there. I've connected all the dots. They seem to be connecting well, okay? They seem to be connecting well. Pretty well, I'd say. Even though, what do you think? Is it wishful thinking, or do I have something here? I mean, let me know. Just be honest with me. Be blunt. Be honest. But that's not all, okay? We also know that these Manhunters emit a unique radiation. So that's clearly going to be an important factor and a key detail of how they're going to track down and locate these Manhunters. See, that's what I like about the show. A lot of shows have a lot of this miscellaneous extra detail that they throw in. There's a bunch of detail that they throw in. It's so cool. It's detail filled. It's rich. All the lore, but they never do anything with it. They never do anything with it. It never goes anywhere. It never coalesces into anything meaningful. This, I feel like every single thing planted here has meaning. At least that's how it feels like. I know we're only in episode 2, but it feels like everything that's being planted here has a meaning, has a purpose, and it will amount to something. I feel that way. The way it's being brought up, the way things are being brought up, like Hal Jordan creating the bird. I mean, John Stewart creating the bird. The Manhunters with the unique radiation. I feel like things are good. All these things are going to lead up to something in the future. Okay, like there's significant details. There is not just, hey, we're just throwing in stuff. Oh, the Manhunters emit radiation. That's fun, and we're not going to do anything with it. I think we're going to do something with it. So anyways, while John Stewart, all this is happening to John Stewart, right? While all that is happening, Hal Jordan is busy abducting dead bodies and driving them around in John Stewart's rental car, okay? Because what he finds out is that the metal detectors at the football game, didn't detect any metal, but they did detect something else. They detected aliens. They were able to detect these shape-shifting aliens, okay? How? Why? What's going on? And this is where things get even more interesting, because I have a feeling Will Macon or his wife, I'm leaning towards his wife being the Manhunter. I think Will's wife is the Manhunter. I feel like Will has the potential to be the Manhunter too, but that's pretty obvious. I feel like that's too. I feel like that's too in your face. I think Will's wife is probably the Manhunter. I mean, think about it, man. The Manhunter is there to infiltrate, to hide. That's an incredibly great hiding spot. You're not going to suspect her. She's also playing a game of her own. She's trying to gain allegiance with John Jones. She's trying to maybe she's playing a game between Hal Jordan and John Jones. John Jones, what am I saying? John Stewart, sorry. Maybe she's trying to play a game, try to create a divide. I don't know what she's trying to do exactly yet. If it is a Manhunter, I think Macon's Miss Macon is a Manhunter. That would also explain why Will Macon had access to that technology, the alien detecting technology, right? I mean, there's so many dots to connect here. Like, how does the Manhunters know to create an alien detecting technology? How does it know and if they are Martians, if they are specifically a Martian detecting technology, how would a Manhunter know how to detect if a Martian is, like, to create a device that's detecting a Martian if he didn't know the genetic makeup of a Martian? And if you go watch my video about it, I'll talk about a whole lot more. Go check that out, my theory about that goes way deeper into the whole Martian stuff, okay? Go check out that video. I'll post it up here and down below. It explains that, like, there could be a distrust between the Guardians and the Martians, and if the Guardians, and there's a specific relationship between the Guardians and the Martians. That the Guardians created the Manhunters you can connect the dots from the Manhunters to the Martians, and like, I mean, there's so many dots here that have possibilities of being connected, which makes it so incredibly interesting. That's what I'm saying. Like, the unraveling of this mystery is so cool. Even if you take my whole Martian theory out of it, okay, it is still incredibly interesting within and of itself. And I mean, like, I'm liking all the characters. I'm liking the mystery. I'm liking the way it's unraveling. I feel like the show is done very well. I feel like it's paced very well. Like, you can tell these guys know how to do mystery. And I haven't seen True Detective, but from what I'm hearing, True Detective is a fantastic show. It's an award-winning show. I mean, I've seen Damon Lindelof's work. Like, I've seen Leftovers. I've seen Ozark. I know this guy's top tier. I know Chris Mundy's top tier. I know these people are top tier in this genre, which is why I was so confident in saying this show is going to be great. This show is going to be the best show in the DCU. While everybody was like saying this show is about to be trash, there's no green in this thing. I mean, dude? Why are you so hanging up on the color green? This is Green Lantern. You know there's going to be green. Even if it's brown in this show, you know James Gunn is going to up the saturation and make it the greenest looking thing you've ever seen in the entire universe. You know the entire DCU is not going to have this tone. It's going to be different in Man of Tomorrow. It's going to be different in the future. So relax, dude. This show is building a foundation that is incredible. The only worry I have about that is if the show does so well, we get a season 2, because I don't feel like we need a season 2. I feel like you lay the foundation for the characters in the season 1. That's it. I want to see these characters on the big screen, man. I don't want you to save Green Lantern stories and put them on the TV show, put them on HBO Max. I mean, if we're going to get, it might be a blessing in disguise, okay? But I do want to see Green Lantern stories of this quality on the big screen. I don't want it to just be on TV. But anyways, let's rewind and talk about Hal again a little bit. So Hal Jordan confronts Will Macon about this, right? Because he's like, yo, I know you have other technology on your ranch. I need you to show me that technology. Because he says now, I'm sure he's suspecting that Will Macon has some ties to the Manhunters, right? He has some ties. He has ties to extraterrestrial aliens, something. We know that. But I feel like he has some ties to the Manhunters. And we know, did I say this? That the Manhunters... We learned this from the potential John Stewart, the bald guy that's interrogating potential John Jones that's interrogating John Stewart, the bald guy, right? We know that the Manhunters have access to, they can create highly advanced technologies that far surpass the technologies of the planet that they're on, right? In this case, Earth. And that's that. I mean, so clearly this alien detecting technology is from the Manhunter, okay? And if Will Macon placed that thing there, then that means he's in league with the Manhunter. So you can't trust Will Macon. Who else knows about it? Who else is in league with this Will Macon? Is Will Macon the Manhunter? Is his wife the Manhunter? Is the Manhunter just in league with them? Who is his benefactor and all that stuff? Like, is it the Manhunter? We don't know. We're gonna find out. But see, that's what creates the drama. That's what creates the interest, and that's what Hal Jordan is interested in. And so he confronts Will Macon, gets shot, gets thrown to the hospital. And there's a cool dialogue scene with him and the sheriff. Find out the sheriff is from Gotham. That's kind of cool, man. We're fleshing out this universe. We're building this universe. That's cool to hear the Gotham name drop. But man, the way the show is written, the way the dots are being connected, like, it's not just first episode connecting the dot to the second episode, connecting the dot to the next episode. It's not just that. It's first episode connecting the dot to the second episode connecting multiple dots back to the first episode that you couldn't connect because you didn't have the context of the second episode. And then it's like, and then you can also connect outwards and like, come on now. This is quality writing right here. This is like inspiring inquisitiveness. I mean, it's inspiring you to think, all right? This is inspiring you to brainstorm and speculate. And you know the reason why you're doing that is because it's stimulating your mind. It's interesting. It's challenging. That's cool, man. It's really cool. I'm liking the show. It's very interesting. It's fun, man. It's a fun watch. Now, one more thing. The bird. I think this bird's going to be significant. I think this bird is going to have a significant part to play in this. At least it has a significant role in John Stewart's life. At least. Because, the reason why I say that is, first off, Hal questioned it. He's like, yo, what? This bird has to have some deep significance. Like, how are you even making it? making this bird, because I mean, Hal didn't want to admit it, right? I talked about that, right? Hal didn't want to admit that John Stewart was able to create this bird because it was an impossible feat. First, you're creating a living thing with autonomy that can fly on its own. That's kind of crazy. That's impossible. And you're keeping the construct up without the ring. That's crazy. That's literally insane. You have crazy innate ability that threatens Hal Jordan. And so he didn't want to give John Stewart that hoorah, but at the end, he was like, that bird has to have some sort of deep connection, some sort of deep meaning to you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do that. Like, how are you doing that, you know? And John Stewart was like, no, it means nothing to me. And he crushes the bird. He folds the bird into itself. And as he does it, you see a vulnerability in his eyes. You see a sadness in his eyes. As he's crushing this bird, he turns around and walks back into his room. I think this bird has a connection to his childhood, maybe a connection to his mom. I'm not entirely sure, but there is a connection there. I'm telling you, this show, when it gives you something, it gives you something for a reason. It doesn't give you something and then do nothing with it. This is not like some dumb show. Like, you can tell, like, it's intelligently made. And I like that, man. I really like that. I don't like, you don't need to, just because they're superheroes, you don't need to make a show that's to appease the general masses, the 12-year-olds and the 80-year-olds and the 13-year-olds and the 50-year-olds and the, you know what I mean? You don't need a show like the MCU where everything has that cheesy sense of humor. Everything is watered down, just like hits that mid 6-7 mark to appease everybody. This show, some people are going to like, some people are not going to like. But they found a niche, they stuck with it, they're doing it, and they're going full force at it, and they're doing a good, they're like, hey, this is our vision, we're going for it. And that's one thing I appreciate about James Gunn. What he said is, like, they're going to put the director's vision at the forefront. Again, that's a double-edged sword. Same way, having multiple genres, multiple tones in the DCU is a double-edged sword, but it could be its weakness, but it could be its greatest strength. Putting the director's vision at the forefront could be the DCU's weakness, could be its greatest strength. In this case, it's a strength, but it could be a weakness. Because if you're putting the director's vision at the forefront, before the director's vision, you need to put the character. So the character needs to be at the forefront. The character needs to be there. You get the character right. The foundation of the character needs to be there. Then the director can, or the creative, whoever's in charge, the showrunner, the writer, or whatever, can look at that character from any angle they want to. I'm fine with that. Keep the character still, focused right there. Build the foundation. Then you can look at that character from different angles. Look at him from, like, Man of Tomorrow is going to look at John Stewart from one angle. This show, Lanterns, is looking at John Stewart from another angle. But John Stewart remains the same. That is the key, okay? And I hope we carry that. I hope we carry that integrity throughout the DCU. All right? If that happens, that's great. That's fantastic. That's a good thing. But yeah, man, I liked episode 2. Episode 2 is better than episode 1. I'm liking where this is going. This show has promise. This show has potential to be really, really good. I'm liking it so far. I think it is good. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. What did you guys think about the show? What did you guys think about episode 2 of Lanterns? What do you guys think about Lanterns so far in general? What do you guys think about the future of the show and the future of the DCU? Let me know all of your thoughts down below in the comment section. And also let me know your thoughts about my theory about the Martians. Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. And I'll see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.